What is up, everybody? You're watching / listening to the McAllister Hours. Today we decided to step outside the branch, the outreach of what the McAllister Hours usually is, which is mainly having on artists, musicians, etc. And we decided to go a little outside that realm. Today we had I'm going to probably get yelled at for saying these names wrong because I was so out of sorts on the podcast that I could not even say their names right. Gabrielle Knudtson Landon Detrick. I'm wincing because wincing. Yeah, why? I don't even understand why I'm a podcaster, really. I mean, I feel like it's such a dick move to like have somebody like if I had like Lil Wayne on the show and I was like, ladies and gentlemen, Lil Juan, and he's like, motherfucker. I'm like, oh shit, god damn it, Lil Wayne, everybody. I wouldn't make it in that realm. I mean, I'm not making it in this realm. I haven't made a dime on this fucking show, but here we are. Anyway, no, this is a really fun show. It was fun having both Gabrielle and Bree on to talk about all her experiences, particularly about borderline personality disorder, something that I personally have a long history with. So it's always kind of interesting to talk about that. And I really appreciated her perspective on it too, because there are a lot of people that have that be the end all for them. They're not able to make it if they have that condition. And she talks about how she's managed to, help herself and manage herself through that. And it's really inspiring. And her friend, Landon, was also really cool. We played around with this drone afterwards and talked about, cameras and all that tech and, nitty gritty talk, that kind of stuff. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, from Mason City, Bree and Landon. Hello, you're watching / listening to the McAllister Hours. I'm your host, Coleman McAllister. We have two guests in the studio today, Bree and Landon. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. You guys took a drive over here. Where were you guys heading from? Where are you guys located?
Mason City area.
Okay. I know you ran into some construction.
Just a little bit on the way out of town. Really, mostly we got a late start. It was just laziness on our end.
Yeah.
Well, we have plenty of rappers on the show, so you're not the first people to.
Well, hopefully an hour late isn't the worst you've had.
No. Well, and it helps that we're not live too. So.
Yeah, true. That would have been a problem.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess to start out, let me give a little bit of you guys' background. What do you guys do? And I know you do photography and you have your own podcast. You do stuff on TikTok. What do you guys do? And what's your story?
You want to go first?
You can. It's all right, ladies first.
Well, for the most part, I work at Sally's just part-time, just doing hair color consultations, because I always have different hair colors. But I also do the TikTok thing, which is like no money whatsoever. And then I work for him with like a lot of assistant work, doing wedding photography and stuff like that. Boudoir, cool. Mostly. But yeah, I kind of do whatever I feel like it for the most part. Paintings and OnlyFans, like the usual.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, the grind.
The grind.
Get that. What about you? What do you do?
Oh, yeah, I do photography, I guess. Main thing, but otherwise I'd like to dabble in a whole bunch of different arts, really. I've played a lot of music. It's just a good overall expression.
That's cool. I'm actually in video production myself. I'm actually in a photography class.
Nice. Oh,
so,
lucky.
Yeah, learning about all the, the ISOs and the aperture and all that. I had never used a camera manually. We have whatever Molly's Nikon, what do you use? Nikon.
I was going to say, play with this one if you want.
He usually doesn't have the screen on, so you got to look through the viewfinder, but...
Yeah, I like the original prism in a camera instead of a digital screen in the eyepiece.
The digital screen has a bit of a lag on that one anyway. Like, I noticed that at the concert.
That's cool, man.
Thank you.
If you don't mind me asking, how much is that?
This is pretty old. I've had this one for, probably close to 7 years now or something. And for that lens and the camera body, probably close to $1,000, I'd say.
Wow. Damn. See, I that's my problem. I'm looking at a GoPro. And there's one on sale I can get for about $250, and that's really cool because it's 4K and it has 60 frames per second.
Nice.
So you can get those nice slow-mo shots. But yeah, it's crazy how far technology has come and all that. I'm sure there's so many more changes since that too.
See, I don't even touch his camera really when we work together. I usually use the phone in like the stabilizing unit because he's got 4K quality on his phone too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, with a gimbal, just handheld gimbal stabilizer.
That's crazy. So what do you think about like the technology of cameras? Do you think it's eventually just going to be on the phone?
I kind of think so. That's what I see it as. It's like a battle between the widescreen and then the vertical orientation of video, like TikTok. And I don't want to see that ever change. I like the widescreen.
No, I'm always a bigger fan of the widescreen. I have to film everything twice basically to be able to put it on TikTok and YouTube.
Compared to the content, if I record it, then you're cropping out so much space on that version.
Cool. Bree, so one of the things that interested me about you was that you're into witchcraft.
Yes.
Right? What's your background in that? How did you get into it, and what does that mean to you?
Well, for starters, I was raised in a Christian household, Lutheran specifically,
Okay.
which, again, I have nothing wrong with Christianity or anything. It just didn't really hit right, putting all of that into one being and one set of rules. And I felt like it just kind of went against nature. And so over time, I just kind of stepped away. I was like atheist agnostic for a while and didn't practice. And then, I don't know if you've seen the story. I can see on your notes that you have, I guess. But one day, I had already had some like inklings and weird stuff going on as a kid, like seeing things, hearing things, just feeling stuff in the wind. As weird as that sounds, it's true. But then, I did DMT one night and everything just changed. And it's witchcraft, but it's not witchcraft. I don't know how to describe it. It's just, that's the only way other people can understand what I do. It's just working with the laws of nature to try to like get life itself to be better. It's not like I don't cast spells and stuff. I mean, I make spell jars, but that's really just like manifesting. You like just meditate on certain stuff, and you like the act of putting the jar together helps you like physically build, you know what I mean, alongside your like mental building of what you want. So I started doing that after the DMT thing, and it just like started working. Opportunities started flowing out of nowhere. Like I was homeless when that happened, like living out of my van, and then now I've had my own apartment for a year. Getting on my feet, doing what I love to do. So it's done nothing but paid off in the long run.
Wow. So you would say you had a very positive DMT experience, like it kind of like reset your life.
Yeah, it was scary, but it was positive.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing about psychedelic trips. Like I feel like I've had, I've never tried DMT, but I've had acid trips that have like really shaped my life. It's actually the reason I quit smoking cigarettes.
Really?
Yeah. I had a really, like, probably one of the last times I tripped, I had a really powerful trip where I had like 2 cigarettes and I was just disgusted. So I had been on like a 3-month like hiatus of like being off it, and then COVID hit and I just went right back to it.
Hard not to when you're isolated like that.
Exactly. But I ended up taking the trip, and I had like 2 cigarettes during the trip. And then like in the morning I had like a half one, and I was just disgusted, and I couldn't even smoke it, and I just haven't had one since. So, I mean, psychedelics are a really powerful tool for like really adjusting your life, you know?
And that DMT trip, like, I don't know, it's weird to say that, like, I blasted off into the universe itself. Like, there was just colors everywhere swirling around. And there was, like, this being there that I, like, hit when I shot off into a streetlight out of my body into this being. And then I just, like, felt at peace, and I came back down. I don't really remember anything they said, just, like, feelings flooded me. And then out of nowhere, I realized, like, basically out of that trip, I got that I was a piece of crap. Like, I had spent most of my life being an awful person. hurting other people for my own selfish gain and then telling myself that I was the victim in the situation. And that trip is like what stopped that mentality and just changed everything. Because like I put myself in that spot. I was homeless because of my own fault. And so yeah, very, very, very grateful. And I don't even really want to repeat the experience because I don't want to taint it.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's when you know you've had a good trip, because I feel like if you really go through that experience and you're like, you know, like the last thing I want to do is do that again. Like you really fulfilled your purpose. What was the being that you saw on the DMT trip? Because this is kind of getting to Joe Rogan territory, but you know, there's tales of like the purple elves and like the, you know, or the purple goddess or something. Like what was the being, and like I guess go more into detail what the experience was like.
The being, I know it was a feminine energy. Like you could just kind of feel like lady off of it somehow.
Yeah.
I just don't remember any facial features or anything like that. I just know that there was somebody there. It's like when you walk into a room and it's dark or like really bright and you can't see quite yet, and you know somebody else is there before they say anything. It was kind of that situation. But then like I just knew that whatever it was me, but it was also in charge of me in a way. So like that's how I kind of learned the whole we are one, we are source. And like Christianity plays to that too. They talk about how we are God and stuff. Where witchcraft, we talk about how we are nature. You know, we have the influence over nature and karmic law. And so I kind of learned that from the being there. Being. But I don't know. I call it my patron. Sometimes I refer to it as like Hecate or Hecate, because that's like the Celtic mother of witchcraft, and it's just easier to give stuff a name. Like when we talk about gods and goddesses in witchcraft, we're actually not talking about a physical like dude in the sky with a beard. We're talking about like just the way energy works, like
almost kind of like a
metaphor.
Buddhist idea, sort of.
Yeah. You know, the Buddhists use the metaphors of like the animals for the chain of life and like reincarnation. Yeah. I think people just noticed a pattern so heavily with these, you know, over time through civilizations. You see stories in Egypt match up with stories in Ireland in the same year, but there's no way they could have even communicated with each other back then. So I think it was easier to just give it a name and say that somebody is choosing for it to happen, as opposed to just why is everything the same? You know what I mean? The synchronicity was too much to be random.
That's interesting. I'm personally an atheist myself. I was actually just talking about this in the podcast that's going up today. But, you know, one of the things that has, you know, stupefies me is like this thing how people have psychedelic experiences and they have similar. It's like, you know, like I was just saying, like how multiple people see the trolls and like see these like different deities.
A collective experience.
Yeah. I mean, as an atheist, I don't really know how to process that. I don't really know what, you know. That's one of the points that I'm stumped on, honestly. It's interesting.
See, and you could argue that I'm technically agnostic with my practices, because like I give the deity, he knows that I talk about Hecate in passing and talk about her being happy versus sad, but I'm talking about like my life's purpose and fated path. Like I kind of know what it is. I think everybody knows in their gut what they're supposed to be doing. They just don't trust themselves enough to do it. You know what I mean? It's all possible. Everything that we want to do, we can do. We just stop ourselves because of what? Rules? That's so stupid. But then when you like are on the right path, you know the universe just like celebrates around you. And so that's when I say Hecate is happy, or like my patron goddess is happy. Whereas like weird bad things will happen if I make the wrong choice. And I'm sure other people have noticed that too. It's like, you know, you get offered 2 jobs, for example. You can take the first one and like the universe will celebrate around you. It's like, okay, cool. It's kind of a crappy job though, maybe McDonald's. The second one, say, is really high paying and like you think it's the right choice because it's a better long-term stable option. And then all of a sudden everything goes wrong. It's like your car breaks down, your house, like you get evicted for no reason. That's like the universe or Hecate or patron being angry. So that's just like, it's a generalized sense. It's just giving a name to things we can't see. So yeah, like I said, it's not paganism per se.
Yeah. Interesting. So I guess like in the, I don't know, like are you like, do you interact with like the witch community? Because like I have an old friend actually who's a self-proclaimed witch as well, and she talked a lot about like, you know, going on forums in the community. I mean, do you like distinguish yourself as like a part of that community? Is it more of an individualistic thing? Like, I don't know.
I don't partake in like online communities or Facebook groups or anything like that. Okay. Sometimes like a meme group or crystal identification or stuff. But I believe that if you're fated to work with somebody or alongside somebody, you're going to meet them in person. And, like, you'll know. Like, my partner right now is very magically based and stuff. And, like, that's how I know he's a good partner to have. It's because it's, like, an interest that aligns. But, yeah, so I prefer to interact in person with anybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why we do the podcast here, It's much better to have an in-person conversation. I feel like almost every time.
I just feel like the magic isn't as personal when you're going to hundreds of thousands of people with the same question. You're going to get hundreds of thousands of answers, and I bet like 99,999,000 of them are wrong.
Yeah.
How are you're going to find that right
I
comment?
just said because everybody else was saying that.
Yeah, it's like the classic problem with the internet. Anybody with the internet.
But I do believe that, like, karma uses the internet on us. Like, the TikTok algorithm, we talk about this a lot, is how creepy accurate it is. And, like, sometimes you get this is a sign thing, and it's just way too true. And so I think that, I don't know, technology plays a part in it.
Well, the really weird, I was listening to someone talk about this. Like, TikTok is so precise that, like, it even times out, like, how long you're on a video.
Or how quickly you click. Yeah. It's
like the timing and how you touch your screen. Like,
their AI would know us more than we know ourselves to
It really does.
a microsecond.
Some of the ads that get me, it's like, how do you know?
What do you guys think that is more, like, do you think it has more to do with them, like you said, knowing more about ourselves than we do, or do you think that they're actually, like, mic'd up and listening in and all that shit?
Well, I mean, they'd be pretty bored if they were.
I don't think they're mic'd up. No, they collect the information probably or save it just
keywords
for reasons,
and phrases.
But otherwise, I think it's computer.
I'm sure there's, like, something listening that if you say the wrong keyword or phrase way too many times or something like that, it'll tip it off. Maybe then, but otherwise, I think it's ridiculous to be paranoid about somebody. Like, a Google Home speaker does not care if you're buying a dime bag from your drug dealer. Like, calm down, guys.
That's funny. There's have you guys heard of Edward Snowden?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
He always when he says every time he gets a new phone, he breaks it open and takes out the microphone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because otherwise they can. I mean, even if your phone's off, they can turn them on and just access that without the light or LED.
I've had to find family members, like, through phone tracking and stuff through the police, and they can definitely turn on your phone and find you.
Yeah,
tossing the SIM card doesn't help much either.
Sometimes I wish we were just back to pagers.
Oh, me too. Honestly, I kind of miss growing
stylish.
up like that.
I had a friend who used to deal back in the day, and they'd have codes on the pagers,
Number to call.
420.
Yeah. Well, like, to the point, like, the code would be like how much, like, where to meet, like, it was just all in that little whatever, how many digits. It's
That's
crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah, now people just use emojis.
I'm guilty of that. I like my emojis.
Hey, everybody is.
Gifts are so fun.
Dude, gifts are amazing.
You can have whole conversations with.
Yeah. I mean, if a video speaks 1,000 words, a GIF had to speak, like, what, at least 10 times as much as that?
Yeah, around there.
What about you? Have you had any psychedelic experiences that you wish to tell us about? I always like asking people about this.
I don't even know if you do.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Life's a trip in itself, I guess.
Oh, so you're one of those guys.
Should have brought him a sticker.
Yeah, I do have some.
Trip.
Yeah, I got some stickers that I had made. I'll have to give you some. But yeah, life is a trip. Yeah. I was just throughout my life, I was in hospitals, and then like 2 years ago, is like I almost died twice in the same year. Once. Jesus.
You should tell him that story because it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'm curious.
If you're comfortable.
It's cool.
Pressure.
Let me get into my like feeling, so where I'm reminiscing. No, but it would have been the end of 2018 in like December, I think it was. My time frames are way off right now too. So because just being in the hospital, and then I was in a coma. Anyways, beginning of the story.
The story starts with a coma.
I started feeling pretty sick, and I was just like, it's all good. I'll feel fine the next day.
Sorry, how long ago was this?
2019.
Okay, 2 years
Beginning of 2019.
Okay.
But yeah, my leg was swelling up, and I was feeling, terrible. I started vomiting blood, shitting blood, and So I got rushed to the ER, and they thought I had a spider bite in my leg, but 2 dots that led to an infection. So I think it was a brown recluse bite for how quickly the infection could have set in. But it went to necrotizing fasciitis is what it's called. It's like flesh-eating bacteria.
Oh, shit.
And for how late I was getting into the hospital, my body went into septic shock.
Oh no!
So like all my organs were shutting down on me, and yeah.
Wow, that's really hard to. That's like a death sentence for a lot of people.
But yeah, I just pretty much felt like crap, and then all of a sudden I woke up and I was in a coma for a few days. They were thought about amputating my leg, but doctors or surgeons did an amazing job just cutting out the infection. So wow. Yeah, it was a long recovery, and
yeah, how long was that?
I had to have my wound was still open. I had to put like a wound vac on it. They call it. They'd pretty much suck out the pus, or I'll show you some pictures of it. It's pretty gnarly.
I'm good.
Yeah, but after that, I was gonna go back out to New York City and stay out there for a little bit. Cause my brother's out there. Just do pictures, video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, good stock footage, and yeah, the last Warped Tour was going on. I was gonna go to that, but that night I got out there, felt like crap, and felt like pretty bad. I felt pretty crappy as my previous situation. So went to a hospital out in like downtown New York City, Bellevue Hospital, and yeah, I ended up getting pancreatitis, or had pancreatitis. So my pancreas ended up enlarging and hemorrhaged my spleen, so they had to remove my spleen. And so I was out in New York in the hospital for like a month and a week maybe.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, good thing that happened right before COVID, huh?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I was like,
fucked.
I get healthy and stuff. Yeah, life is a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can imagine that experience maybe, like you said, life's a trip. Like, why the fuck would you need acid after that?
Even another one in between, I found out that I had a daughter that was 7 years old right after my hospitalization from the leg or spider bite that they think. And yeah, so life is a trip.
Rough year.
Hey, to top that all off, you have a living being as your spawn that's 7 years old.
Yeah, she's awesome though. Yeah, I'm super. Yeah, glad I survived. She's like the reason I survived the New York hospitalization.
Wow. How, not to get too personal, but how'd you handle that? How would, I don't know, if I woke up and it was like, hey, you have a kid, I'd freak out. I would be like, DNA test now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, wanted one. Finally got one. But yeah, it was life's awesome.
Yeah.
A trip. Life is a trip, and it's awesome.
Life is a trip.
Universally said in 1 year, let's almost kill you, give you a brand new kid, and then almost kill you again. Just make sure you good.
Yeah. But yeah, without a spleen, I'm a high risk for COVID.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not gonna let that shit kill me.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you are still kicking in, that you came back from that experience, because that sounds fucking awful.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Missed Warped Tour. I missed the last Warped Tour.
But you got a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way better than Warped Tour, right?
Right.
Way more fun.
Right?
Definitely.
You're a parent, right? I guess that's a good segue. What was your journey with that, and how's that been? How do you like being a parent?
First of all, I never wanted to have kids growing up, so it was very interesting to find out that I was pregnant. I was even told that I really couldn't, just because of medical conditions. So I got a little ballsy, and shocker, it happened. And I was with the guy, my son's dad. My son's 5 now. He just started kindergarten about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Little Oliver, he's the best. But yeah, his dad and I had been together since we were 15. something like that.
Oh, wow.
So I was 19 when I found out I was pregnant. And I just went through it like any other person would. I got really excited because, like, I didn't realize it, but low-key, I did want that picket fence life. I wanted the house and the kids and the husband and stuff. And, like, getting pregnant with Oliver actually taught me that. And then when he was born, I had, like, an identity crisis because I was only 21 years old. Well, 21. And I had not seen life. Like, I was institutionalized for most of my childhood. And then after I got out, I went basically into living with him. So I never lived on my own. I didn't know how to take care of myself, let alone a child. So I snapped, and we wound up separating for a while. I went off and became a stripper, of all things, just to, like, yeah, girl power, find my identity. I tend to take things a little too far, no matter what I do.
I did her wedding pictures.
Yeah, that's how we met, actually.
Yeah.
So when I came back from that separation, found out I was pregnant with my daughter.
Damn.
So she does have a different dad, but we didn't know that until after she was born. So he's, like, because of the time frames, it was so close of a call. I was with somebody, and then, like, a week and a half max later, I was with her, like, dad that's raising her. But yeah, everybody knows. They're all cool with it. I didn't force the other dad to get involved. But we got married in the middle of the pregnancy, and that's when I met Landon. Lasted about a year being married. You've been married to somebody with BPD, so you can imagine a pregnant BPD nightmare.
Oh, Jesus.
And then postpartum BPD nightmare.
Yeah. Well, that was, not to sidetrack, but that was always the thing that terrified me about being married to somebody with BPD, is like, you know, because she would have her moments, and I'd be like, oh, this is going to be 10 million times worse when she's pregnant. Gosh. But anyway,
Could
sorry.
be 10 times better though too.
No.
Hormones are
Happened.
No,
With
I'm
my
just
son.
gonna stop you there and say no.
I'm actually gonna, like, validate that with my son. I weirdly got so stable. Like, yes, I had my weird hysterical laugh cry stuff, but I didn't freak out near so much. It's so weird. But with my daughter, I dropped butter on the counter, like literally 3 inches onto the counter, and bust into tears for 20 minutes. So I'd do that on a Tuesday afternoon, though, let's be real. It doesn't have to be pregnant. Yeah, we wound up separating. The divorce got ugly. I made a lot of big mistakes. But now we're at a pretty decent custody agreement. I'm, like, trying to work out a little more time with them. But no, I'm pretty happy. Got 2 beautiful children. A co-parent that is a great dad. He really is.
That's good. That's important.
So I do everything I can.
Yeah, as anyone can, you know. Shit, what was my question? Fucking ADD, man. Oh, wait. You were saying you were institutionalized for your childhood. What all went into? I'm curious. Like that. That's.
Well, I don't know how many of my TikToks you've seen, because I know that, like, that's kind of how you've gotten to know me before this.
I don't really watch TikTok. I'm not. Really
I don't blame you. I'm only on it because I know it fits my personality and it's a profitable margin. That's the only reason.
You know, the other person we had in here that's a big TikToker, he's like, you gotta sell your soul, man.
Pretty much.
Sell your soul for the talk.
Pretty much. Like, my first video with 2 million views was about a Tinder date that peed on me. So, I'm so sorry you were drinking.
I didn't spit anything out.
Literally, I woke up in the middle of the night and the dude was pissing the bed and I was in the bed and I ran. I just ran.
Like, in his sleep, or he was full out, like...
Okay, so just a nutshell of the story. He had, I don't know why I'm laughing because it's kind of scary. He had been taking so much ecstasy, and I, like, okay, I'm neurodivergent, I'm off the wall, I'm ADHD, I'm crazy. Like, so when I meet other people that are high energy and creative too, I usually assume that they're just like me. No, it was ecstasy. So he probably, my guess is, gave himself a UTI or, like, didn't go to the bathroom enough times, and he had stayed up too long. So, like, I knew he was, like, physically fine. I tried to wake him up and tell him what happened. He was, like, snoring, like, breathing, heartbeat and everything. But I was freaked out. I was covered in piss. So I just grabbed clothes and ran. And I don't know. He didn't even apologize. Like, he was really rude about it, actually.
Very
was
awkward
like,
situation.
I mean, I can imagine he was embarrassed too, but he didn't act like it.
That's probably how he gets off. He's like, this is how I know conquered a woman. I piss in her bed.
Either that or, like, trying to keep it a one-night stand and he peed on me to get me out. Like, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Whatever the case, we're not obviously seeing each other anymore. But yeah, institutionalized.
Yeah.
As a kid growing up, I was adopted out. My parents were 13 when they had me. So that was the podcast on my channel. And talking to my dad about that situation. But when I was adopted out, I was put into the foster home with like these 2 other boys and stuff that were coming in. They both had like fetal alcohol syndrome and ADHD and autism and stuff like that. And my mom was there when she was pregnant. She had me. The foster parents kept me and just adopted me right there. But when I was 15 or 16, they started realizing that having so many kids in the same household with behavioral disabilities and no actual help was a very bad recipe. So I started acting out, like typical youngest child situation. Like I was the rebel. I ran away all the time. I did a bunch of drugs. Well, not a bunch of drugs. To be real, I got high a few times, and then my mom caught me every single time. So she thought I was doing it every day. But yeah, no, I just very, very unlucky. But yeah, the court actually China'd me. They took me away from my parents because I was getting in so much legal trouble that my parents weren't considered responsible enough to take care of me. So
damn.
I was that naughty, and I got put into Forest Ridge in Iowa here. It's in Esterville, right? And it's a girls' home. So it's like all these girls living in one house. There's like several cottages. They all go to the same all-girls school. I spent most of my teenage years there.
Damn.
Yeah, that was an oops. Just had to get drunk on prom night that bad, I guess.
Damn. Yeah, but see that I detest the system so much, especially in this circumstance like that. It was a little harsh. Well, it was a little. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think that a teenager partying a few times equates to being, institutionalized in that sense. Like,
yeah.
No, my parents were the type, and like props to them, they were just trying to be good people. They were trying to do their best, and they were in way over their heads, but they would like booby trap stuff if I tried to sneak out. They would call the cops if they caught me sneaking out, and so I'd be chased all over the little town of Forest City, like just running barefoot in my pajamas because I went outside to sneak a cigarette that I'd stolen from my dad. Like, it's a bit excessive.
Yeah.
And then to be locked up for 2.5 years over it is definitely... But I learned a lot. Like, now I'm BHIS certified in conflict resolution because I spent 2 years training in it. Like, so didn't use that in my young adult years, though. Should have.
Well, it's good that you've come away from that experience.
Yeah.
The person you are. But yeah, it's a really shitty situation. That whole everything, the fostering and all that. My father was actually, when he grew up. His parents were like foster parents. They had like a summer camp of like kids that were troublemakers and that, and they would like dig holes. It was like the movie Holes. Like they would just dig holes and then they would just fill them back up, like for no reason.
Character building or what?
Oh yeah, my grandfather was a big character builder type of guy.
See, I had one foster home that was like that, and they were horrible. Like, they really were. They were definitely in it for the check. We were little maids and stuff like that.
See, and that's
they were
another
racist and homophobic.
Yeah,
like it was awful.
Well, that's another problem with that system too, is that they give financial incentive. It's kind of like the welfare state with like people having being single moms and having kids. Like there isn't a financial incentive to do that. It's a problem.
See, I think that it should be a like gift card type system where they can track what you buy it. Just like child support. I fully believe that child support should be like a WIC card where you can only buy items like clothes, food, things like that. Because I know several people that call it like weed support money because they make enough to take care of themselves. So they just spend the child support on their weed. So that just like as a parent who tries to pay child support, like I'm not gonna lie, I'm behind, but like it just irritates me to the thought that like people do that.
Yeah, well, and that's always kind of been my thought too, is like, because I've never been in that system, but I always wonder like, I don't know, but I wonder like how much of it is, not that people don't need it, but how much of it is that they don't need it because they don't need it or because they have bad spending habits, and that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing properly.
Honestly, I feel like if it's too much for the kid and like say you're set at the minimum amount, which is like $257 a month per kid in Iowa. Yeah, I think so. Something like that. But if you're set on that amount and say the kid only needs like $100 of school supplies and clothes that month, why not take that $157 and put it in an account for them later in life? It's child support money. It's not money for you to pay rent. You would have to pay rent for that kid being there or not. You know what I mean? Why is your ex-partner responsible for that? You guys chose to separate. It's on you guys to pay your own stuff.
Put it in cryptocurrency.
I was just thinking that. Put it in fucking Bitcoin.
That's actually not a bad idea. I was doing savings bonds.
Well, dude, Bitcoin's been fucking killing it lately.
Yeah, what's going on?
You gotta get it hopped on quick.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about just putting like a fucking big lump sum in it. Yeah. Holly hates it when I say that, but I put a little money in there and then it's surprising.
Well, money is. You can always make money back.
The really fucked up thing about Bitcoin is the worse America does, the better it does.
Yeah.
The more inflation we get, the more our economy goes to shit. Bitcoiners are like, whoa, fuck yeah, give me the money.
See, the more it goes to shit, I just think about running off into sustainable communities and saying, screw it all. I mean, gonna do it anyway, but still.
Go into a forest.
But that's the plan.
Figure it out. There was that one guy we were talking about one time. The show I used to watch on PBS where this guy would like go in the woods and he would like do everything himself. He would hunt, he would literally just use the wilderness to sustain himself, and he did it.
Kinda.
Yeah, but like
I can think of the show. I just don't remember the name. It was like Man
he built his own. He built his own cabin.
Are you talking about the guy in Alaska?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Whatever that is.
Yeah. Into the wilderness.
It's an older show, but it's great, and kind of that time then too, how people were able to really just use their environment. All these dumbasses with their phones, they wouldn't be able to do that they wouldn't survive 24 hours in the fucking. Yeah. They'd be like, how to do this? Wait, I have no service.
I'm one of those.
Fuck!
I have to admit, my need to take pictures is so strong. I don't know if I could go without at least a phone camera for a few days. What if I see a frog?
A pinhole camera or something.
Get a little Polaroid.
What if I see a flower? Those are expensive.
Yeah.
For how many pictures I take in developing them.
But then you still get to see it instantly, so you get that gratification.
$3, I think, per picture for a Polaroid.
Yeah, no.
But they do last a long time. They are very nostalgic.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's and I mean, you're more of a photographer, so maybe you have some insight on this. But there's always the debate between digital and film, what's better. What's your opinion?
Man, that's a really good question.
That's a good question for you.
I think, I have a lot of stuff on film, but I just haven't developed them yet.
Damn.
So sometime it'll be a good reunion, but I mean, quality-wise, old film cameras still as good as the nice digital SLRs today, or even film video, how they can still have them in 4K and not be remastered is just that big of film is a good resolution.
I prefer digital just because of I have nothing against film. There's a place for it. There always will be a place for it. But we are lucky enough to not only be a species that can take pictures in the first place, but have such complex digital editing equipment that we can literally... We were talking about this on the way over here. You can have anybody play the president in a movie with the right CGI.
Yeah, even with the face filters.
I mean, the deepfake shit? That scares the fuck
The
out
government,
of me.
they have the processing power and computer technology. I mean, anybody could be playing the president just with a filter over their face.
Yeah, no, I just I don't like that aspect of it, but I love the fact that we have that ability. We are gifted in that sense, and I feel like it should be utilized if you have the talent for it. If you love it, if you're good at it, why not do it? Just like if you love developing film, why not do that?
Yeah, that's true. I think that there is a certain authenticity in film that as of right now can't quite be matched by digital, but as we get more pixels, the Ks get higher, we're eventually gonna get to that point where we surpass it.
Now film looks better than real life. Let's be real. You have glasses, so you get it. It's like when I'm watching a 4K television, I get confused and my brain kind of hurts. It's do I even see in 4K?
Well, this is really technical, but did you guys watch The Hobbit?
I've seen it. It's just been a long time.
So I never watched the whole movie, but the bits that I have seen, one of the criticisms was the frame rate was so high that it almost looked like it didn't look realistic. It looks and there were a lot of people that didn't like that. A lot of the old school film guys were like, this just looks like a fucking video game or something.
Yeah, you should only shoot in that format if you're gonna slow it down. So it's really smooth slow motion instead of.
There's some shots he has of me with like the drone that are just, or like the Dynazoom. That looks weird, like a video game.
Like
it's
the
like
Alfred Hitchcock kind of effect where you move the camera and then zoom at the same time of opposite ways. So the background kind of moves.
like, the background moves forward and you move backwards or vice versa.
Oh yeah.
So they use it in music videos a lot.
That's a big horror technique too.
Yep. Yeah.
The music videos are my favorite thing to. I want to make them. I want to make lots of them.
Little shorts and stuff. I like. Yeah. I've been trying to get into video.
Hell yeah.
But it's not too many people to collaborate with or.
Well, hey, hit me up. I know I'm in Des Moines here, but I'm actually getting a. I don't know if I mentioned this. I'm getting a GoPro.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So that should up my game.
Yeah, I got an older one, but I don't even know what they're on now. I think mine's like a 4 black, or it does 4K, which is all right. But I mean, there's no instant screen for settings. You got to either like hook it up to your phone or.
Yeah.
See, I'm hoping to get to the point where like, because I've been apprenticing with him and stuff. I've been learning a lot. I don't touch that camera much, like I said, but I need to start learning.
Touch it. Everybody's
I'm
like
gonna touch
really scared of
Well, it's because it's so
It
big.
is kind of a scary thing. Like there's
so
something to be
heavy.
said when you're holding a piece of technology that you know is worth more than you. You're like, God damn.
But I also like know that this is my thing. Like,
the lens is where it gets expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. But
Well, and those things, like, you know, you drop them, you're fucked.
This one's been dropped quite a bit. This one's
Plenty of
weatherproof
times.
too, so it's like, I mean, I've done like mudding events where it's just completely covered in mud and
Damn.
see, but
Yeah, good
I want to
investment.
learn from him to do music videos, live events. Like we're doing a wedding next weekend. I'm really excited. That's going to be my first like event. But we did a concert for Sorry for last night. They're a cover band out of Mason City. They're actually really good.
yeah.
We did their live events. What was it? June? Something like that. Came out with some really good shorts and stuff. I had so much fun. It's probably one of the most fun I've ever had in my life. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I just flew the drone around and then got some pictures and videos. So
yeah, drone and digital, you know?
Damn. That's something I've always wanted to get into, too, is the drone.
It's a game changer.
it looks like the weather conditions are good for today, so I'll let you fly it totally.
Yeah.
That's the thing that freaks me out, though. Like, you know, you're putting your however much camera out in the air. What if the wind picks up? You're fucking, it goes in the river.
Yeah, I always. That's how a lot of people lose theirs or think they get hacked. It's like the wind speed just changes from like 33 feet to 100 feet. It could change like 15 miles an hour. So.
Well, I don't know if this is related, but I know during the protest last year, there were people that, I think it was probably the police. They were having drones, and like people were like pointing lasers at the drones, and like they were dropping and crashing. They just like laser them.
Noted.
So if you
We
see
have
a drone,
video
just,
that we're making a little short film just as an example of what we can do, where he hires an assistant, me, and the drone comes to life and is trying to take me out because he's jealous that I'm working with Landon. We named the drone Whippy. We really like Whippy, except for when I don't.
They're
I'm always trying to-
intimidating. Drones are like.
The noise like triggers this instinct where anybody who sees it just immediately starts swatting and wants to knock it down, including me. And like I know it's there. Like there's so many videos of me just flipping it off.
Yeah, they're fun.
yeah, it's scary though. It's scary that technology's there.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I want to fly it around the crackhead part of Mason City up by North Side. So badly because I can just imagine we got this one guy that flails. It's like, what would he do?
Just follow him and fuck with him. Just like,
Just like put it down low enough so he sees it and then shoot it up and then come back down.
get the fuck out of my face.
Just keep him staring at the sky for like 20 minutes. We should get my neighbors with that one.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. That all that shit. The face swap or freaks me out.
Yep.
There's a TikTok filter that makes you look like you're smiling just continuously, and it's so funny. Like I saw this video of this
you did
dude
that, yeah.
going to the mall with his wife. And she's like, honey, are you happy to be here? And you could tell like he's supposed to be grimacing at her and so mad, but the filter is so realistic. It makes it, yes, yeah, no, I hate it here. I hate it here. I'm sorry, that was just random
Oh, you're
tangent.
good. Do you guys have any? I don't know. This is kind of a deep philosophical question, but you know, you and I are both or I guess all of us are kind of in that media aspect. Do you worry about the possible consequences with that advancement in technology?
100%.
Like, for instance, like let's say video evidence gets tampered with, and it's done so indistinguishably that nobody could tell.
That's the good thing about like metadata.
Oh, true.
On
Good
stuff,
point.
but it's still an issue because I don't know if I should talk about my court, but yeah, I got accused of photoshopping my daughter in images with me because I can edit photos.
Right?
Good.
That's the same face I made.
I know. Life's a trip, man.
No, I mean, I've had some stuff on my old YouTube channel, which, like, I take full responsibility for the dumb crap that I said. But I had it clipped, like, right, and somebody else clipped it together for court to, like, where it made me sound like I was on cocaine and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. When it was, like, that was a trailer for a documentary about, like, my upbringing in drug recovery. Like, chill, guys. I'm talking about being sober. So I do worry a lot about, even if their picture isn't tampered with, they can just decipher so much media because people are so used to looking at all this media and pictures every single day that they're overanalyzing every aspect. So it can be just a pure picture of us sitting here at this podcast and somebody would be able to pick it apart. And because of Landon's, his simple body language could tell him that Landon's mad at me or something like that. And then they can spin out an entire comment section of millions just because of that one perspective that's what the fuck? Where did that come from?
We're emotionally intimidating, Bree. We got two men here.
Yeah.
She's in the middle. We're both.
Yeah, I'm not intimidated. Y'all should be intimidated. We all know who's got the power here.
Well, I'll give you a minute.
I don't even know what to do with myself now because I'm embarrassed, but I'm not because
I bet people have tampered with evidence though and got away with it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, and kind of like what you were saying before, like not even really like tampering the video or like how it's presented, like just editing in general. If you're talking about people just scrolling through and seeing so much media a day, if something's edited in a way that's not proper, not what really happened, they're not going to think twice about that. They're just going to be like, that's just how it is.
See, I get so careful. I tell kind of controversial stories on my TikTok and things like that.
Hey, talking to me, like,
Yeah. But I always worry because, I have kids and stuff, and there is there's no court case in my situation, but I hope to go back after a point in time and get more time with them. So I have to watch everything and make sure that I'm very clear about timelines, very clear about what I used when, take full responsibility. So that way, if anything comes up, I'm covered. I know what I actually said, so they can't clip it and make me sound bad because all I can do is just put the original clip where it's the truth, and then tracking the actual data encryption of what is the original footage.
Yeah, or because people, if you or make a copy of a file or anything, the date of that file will be the day you copied it because it's not the original file still. It's still copied. So,
So if you edit it and resave it and stuff, it'll always have that new timestamp on it, no matter what.
But you should still be able to go into the origin date.
Well, yeah, terminal. If you go to the terminal and hack it, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's nice that it does record that to the...
Yeah. Well, that's the scary thing, though, is that, there will be a point where that will be, tampered with or not even really, won't even matter. It could just, I don't know. It's scary to see where that's all going. So, Bree, we kind of talked about this a little bit before the other day, but you've posted on your TikTok that you have borderline personality disorder.
Yes.
And I personally, my ex-wife had borderline personality disorder. I was with her for 5 years, so I'm very familiar with that disorder. So I guess I'm just curious, how did that diagnosis come about, and how would you, for someone who doesn't understand what BPD is, how would you describe it?
Well, for BPD, I always describe it as a black and white type of disorder. So whereas most people can find a gray area, someone with BPD usually sees things as either perfect or terrible. Gray areas just don't work very well with them. Either somebody loves them or hates them. They want them or they want nothing to do with them and they're a terrible person. So that's where the fear of rejection comes in. We didn't realize at first that it was even a possibility because, growing up in the 90s, they've been doing a lot of research on mental health lately. And in the 90s at that point in time, borderline was just like basically considered being melodramatic is all it was. They didn't understand how serious of an issue it was until all of the 90 kids wound up getting it. And then now in the millennial generation, we're all sick. Like, it's like a plague pretty much. We all have it. But yeah, I didn't quite fit into that original category because it was supposed to be like a latchkey kid type of situation where your parents left you alone too much, which, yeah, I was alone a lot, but I had everything I needed. There was no direct abuse in my household that we knew of and things like that. But then as I got older, mental health manifests the most when you're in your early 20s.
Yeah.
And then throw in a couple of pregnancies and a bunch of drug use on top of that, and you have a chemical disaster with a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So the diagnosis finally stuck when I was like 20. Before that, like, they tossed it around in the institutions and stuff. But then when I got out, they just labeled it as bipolar 1, which I also am. So that's just...
Yeah. Well, it's in the same family.
Kind of,
like,
yeah.
Mental disorder.
It's like bipolar's chemical.
No, I'm wrong. Okay. Molly's a therapist in training, so she knows all about that.
Yeah. So like bipolar 1 is more of a chemical imbalance that you're born with, where BPD is a personality disorder that you grew up in an environment that honed it in. So when you have the two combined, it's kind of hard to deal with because medications get wonky. You can't take like SSRIs if you're bipolar because it'll send you into a never-ending manic episode, which makes BPD so much worse, which is what happened to me. So when I was 19, they gave me the SSRIs and I spun off, like just on drugs, stripping, traveling around the country, like basically did not care about anything. The postpartum got so bad. I couldn't, sorry, ADHD. I'll learn to ignore it.
You're good. You can if you want, man. You're good.
But yeah, so I found out that, here, I'll move this for you. As the assistant, I'm always like, scenery adjustment. But, they gave me the medications, and then I got hit with, like, postpartum really bad. And I spun out. That's what happened. My brain just ran away. Maybe 2 seconds.
Distraction.
No, it wasn't really you. I was going to spin off.
Well, let me ask you this. Like, what, because I feel like, at least from what I understand, BPD comes from trauma.
Yes.
So, like, not to get into any trauma, like, but, there's also kind of like a psychotic break. Like, what, like, do you think that had more to do with childhood or the drug use? Like, what do you think contributed to
the biggest factor was the childhood. The drug use and trauma actually is kind of what kicked it into. I got into a couple of car accidents. Well, not a couple. I got into a car accident and then a very, very close call with death, overdose-wise and stuff like that.
Oh, shit.
So that really woke me up to it. But the upbringing, it turns out that there was trauma. It was to the point where I repressed it. Like, literally blackout repression, which doesn't happen very often unless she knows. Very, very serious. So once we were able to find out that I had that trauma, though, it gave me the freedom to go attend EMDR therapy treatments and stuff like that, which brings up the trauma. Like, yes, you have to relive it, basically. Hypnotism. Like, you literally get hypnotized and set up like this, and you relive the experience, see it as it happens, but then your brain gets recoached. So, like, for one of them, they had me go through the trauma, but then they had me focus on, like, specifically staring at, like, a stuffed animal in the corner that I liked. So that way, like, every time the memory got brought up, my brain would just stuffed animal. It doesn't think trauma, it thinks stuffed animal. So that way I was able to, like, lessen those horrible reactions over time. And what's crazy is that was a psilocybin therapy treatment.
Oh, cool.
So I lucked out in 2019. It was right after Colorado decriminalized mushroom use. So I went out there and got connected through All Health Network out there, introduced me to a trial, like, program thing, and I was given 8 grams of mushrooms every single day.
Wow.
Went through group therapy, individual therapy, and then, like, almost a guided meditation. They didn't call it that. They called it relaxation. But, and then we integrated into society by getting jobs. Like, you could live on site as an option for the first 2 weeks, like, on the facility to be monitored, or you could have your own place. And then you continued therapy for, like, 6 months afterwards, max. It's supposed to be, like, 3. And then we're supposed to be recalled in a few years to see what happened.
Oh, okay. So. That's really cool. For people who are, like, skeptical about psychedelic use. I've always thought that would be like the best way.
The mushrooms changed my entire life.
See, I actually hate mushrooms, but
you do. So yeah, that's what it was, the psilocybin. So,
but no, like I think like a guided, like having a guided therapy, like a guided person to like to take you through a trip. I think that would alleviate a lot of the, because not to tangent too much, but like a lot of people that are freaked out about psychedelics and don't want to do that, like that would help them. Then you have someone that, hey, you're experiencing this and this is normal, like let's utilize this trip, let's talk about it, know.
And that's like why I don't, even if I do use psychedelics anytime now, I don't trip with other people really. Because I prefer to like force myself to think about it myself. When I'm with other people, I just absorb their problems and then I just want to guide them through as like their trippy therapist.
Yeah.
So, which is nice, but
yeah, no, I mean there is benefit to taking psychedelics with other people, definitely. But I'm the same way. I prefer to have like just me and my partner, just together, having a very personal experience. I think that's the way to do it. And talking about you going through therapy, I give you a lot of kudos, truly, for doing that, because I feel like a big problem with a lot of people with BPD is that it's really hard for them to get to that point.
I'm really glad you brought that up. That is my biggest pet peeve. And it's just because, like, if you have BPD, chances are you're highly intelligent. Like, that's just part of it, is you are in your own thoughts so much, you overanalyze that you are just an intelligent being. So if you have BPD and you're in especially, like, your 20s, you have BPD.
Yeah.
Even if, sorry.
No, you're good.
But even if you don't know the term for it, what to call it, you understand that, oh my God, I overreact a lot. Like, your life will fall apart around you if you don't make that understanding and actually fix it. That is the biggest key. I actually have that on one of my episodes too, is where I talk about sitting in a pile of shit and expecting yourself not to stink, pretty much, is what's like having a mental illness and not going to a therapist and not getting help for it. Even if you feel stable, that's the best time to go. Because then you can make the decisions. You are clear enough to tell when you have your next episode and big freak out, like what direction that's probably going to be. Like, you can prepare. Whereas, like, if you don't have a therapist to help you point out those patterns, like, you don't have the capability to. I mean, it takes so much practice. So
yeah, I think this is for anybody, but especially BPD. Like, it takes consistency. Constant effort. I feel like, not to get too personal, but I feel like with my ex-wife having BPD, she would go on these spurts where she would like be really into the mental health and like have all the papers and be looking through it. Then she would just lose interest.
Oh, I did
and
that
she would
so
just
many
think,
times.
She would just think she was okay and think that she's stable and not. You're like, I'm fine. I'm on my meds. I'm fine.
And no, and actually, I found this is gonna blow your mind. I think. The best way to avoid feelings and situations is to actually research those feelings and situations. You never have to actually feel it if you're busy just reading. And I didn't realize that I was doing that. Yeah. And so, I really liked thinking that way. It changed everything.
That's cool.
I still have my moments, though. Like, the other day, I was getting ready for school conferences, and I lost the ring my wife gave me. Like, spiritual wife. It's just like one of those, we've been best friends for 12 years. So just to clarify that. But I lost it right before, and poor Landon, he's used to my fits. I was like crawling around on my hands and knees, like having a meltdown, trying to like not cry because I had a little bit of makeup on. And yeah, so I still have my problems. I still don't work very well regularly in 9-to-5 jobs. That is something that I can definitely see many BPD people probably. That's why I think we're going to go to more of a fair trade economy and like more self-sustaining, is because so many people are struggling with the fact, like, I don't want to go to a fucking office.
Cryptocurrency.
Well, biologically, we're also just not programmed for, like, we're not
for
meant,
mass stuff like that.
Yeah, we're not meant to like sit in office. Most people are not meant to sit in office from 9 to 5.
It's not good for your body. It's not good for your mental health. And what's crazy to me is how people will sit and work a job they hate when there's somebody who's like maybe 100 miles away that would probably kill to have that job and probably has the job they want. It's just people are too scared to even look for it.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you have to be in the same area? Why do you have to?
Yeah. It's really easy to let your environment control you too, feed off what other people around you are doing and come to the conclusions like, hey, I can't do this. Like, this is all I can do or whatever. It's really easy to get in those traps.
Yeah. So I just see a lot of, 'cause I'm from Forest City, which is tiny little town where they built RVs, like Winnebago Industries is created there. So everybody works in the factories. And I just see so many people live miserable lives. And like, I've never seen a town with so many people that cheat on their spouses, so much like undercover drug use. Like, it's not like Mason City or Des Moines where there's like actual gang banging or anything going on, but there still is like undercover stuff. And it's so bad, I think, because people are forcing themselves to live this life they were raised to live, and they hate themselves so much for it that they're just like low-key sabotaging it in every way.
Yeah. Well, growing up in a
BPD move.
growing up in a small town myself, I can actually, agree with that. You can say that the city might be like on a face value worse. I don't even think that's true, but like, people will say that it's worse. But, I think there's so much in a small town living that happens behind the scenes, and that's ultimately more damaging. In Des Moines, you can be like, oh, hey, this group of people or this area, you can grid that out. But like in a small town, it's all
just
open.
Everybody.
Yep, it's everyone.
It's like for some reason, this 50-year-old woman at the hair salon knows the business of a 17-year-old girl in the high school who hasn't even graduated yet. And to me, that's just so, That's because there's nothing else. What are you supposed to entertain yourselves with?
Yeah, well, it's it's like it's the people in the routine. It's the people that go to the coffee shop every day and they like, oh, here's the town gossip.
Yep.
Janice left John and she quit her job. Who gives a shit?
I know, nobody cares. And that's the sad thing too. And I tell my 14-year-old brothers this all the time, is that I wish so much that I knew everything that I knew now, because everything that happened in high school, the who kissed who, he said, she said, God, even just like, just to get blunt, how horny I felt back then is nothing in comparison to what real life is. Like all of those emotions, all of those situations are so intense at the time. And then you get in the real world and you're like, did I really cry over not going to homecoming? Like, I'm 23. I can go to a club and there's a rooftop pool. Like, yeah, it seems important to make those memories, but like, you have a whole life to live.
Yeah. I missed out on my senior prom and I don't regret it. Like, I think people put so much importance, and going back to small town, like those events, especially, people put so much importance in those events.
In a small town, it's the least important because fact is no one except for your town newspaper is ever going to see you in that dress. Yeah. You know what I mean? Might as well wear something you actually like.
Yeah. Some of those fuckers are going to be at the same bar in that town like 20 years later, and that's all they're going to be talking about. I remember my suit in prom was the best suit. Everybody loved it.
Yeah. And meanwhile, like, I jumped out of a helicopter and skied down a mountain. Like,
meanwhile,
call me a deadbeat.
Meanwhile, half of your classmates have crossed paths and leap bounds that you will never even be able to fathom. You're just drinking just to forget it. My prom, man, that was what was up.
And you can just see it in their eyes too. They're just so sad. I don't like going to my hometown, even just to visit my kids and stuff. It's so sad.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky. My entire family relocated here, so I never have to go back. That's awesome.
So, yeah, no. And my parents live there. I was raised in that house. I get the house when they pass. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to sell it.
So, funny story about my hometown. I grew up in Orange City, Iowa, and I moved when I was about 5. And crazy thing about that town, there actually is a history of KKK in that town. Like, there are
sad.
People, fucked up. My mother worked at a law firm there, and she actually had a coworker who had a cross burned in his yard. Like, there were some fucked up people out there.
Yeah.
But when they first came to the town, they're Dutch. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you've ever been to Pella, like the Tool Festival.
Yeah.
Like they have the whole, their garments and all that, their whole outfit. My parents didn't know about that. So like they're driving past the baseball field and they're like doing all their Dutch thing, and they thought it was like the KKK and the baseball field. It's in the middle of the baseball field. They're just driving by. It's like, is that the KKK? What the fuck?
They're celebrating a home run. Like, come on. It's just the company baseball league. Calm down, guys.
The blue team won. We're gonna have a commemorative cross burning to celebrate. No, I mean I don't. I don't know. Like in my experience there, I didn't really run into a lot of like KKK oriented thing, but it just kind of speaks to the nature of a small town, you know?
See, I think with small towns, and we've talked about this at length, is that accidental racism and bigotry is something that people don't even know they have.
They don't even realize it.
When I moved out of state into Denver, I had no idea that I'd been raised around racist jokes and homophobic jokes. I thought that they were funny because, like, you know, it's funny to make fun of racism and homophobia. And then, like, I cracked the same joke in Denver or, like, Wyoming and not here, and people look at me like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? And I feel so bad. So I think it's like, I'm grateful for media in that sense, though, because I feel like people are becoming more aware over time how offensive we actually are just living our day-to-day lives, like how judgmental we truthfully are being, especially those small towns.
Yeah, it's definitely a difference in culture for sure. Yeah, it's hard to say like how to. Yeah, it's crazy the differences between all that. I live here in Des Moines, and you live in Mason City, so I'm sure you can prefer that. There's a diversity of ideas, you know.
See, at least there's some diversity, period. And that was the other thing is like, Forest City is whitewashed, and anyone who is from North Iowa knows that all of the towns pretty much are. Like, there was, I think, 2 African American kids at all in my entire grade whatsoever. And so then, like, I didn't know how to act when I was, like, around a totally different culture. And those, like, they were mixed kids, too. So they were being raised by, like, white culture and stuff. So when I was around, like, one of my African friends, I had no idea, like, what was offensive, what wasn't offensive. And we got into it a few times, like, because of it. Just because, like, I've been raised differently. And I didn't mean to hurt the person, but it just came out, like...
Well, yeah, and I think to an extent that's understandable, though, you know.
And it happens to everybody, just like way more in small towns, I think.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, you know, I was living in South Dakota like about a year ago, and one of the things that really bothered me about living there was the homophobia.
Oh God,
and that to me has I've never understood why anybody cares.
I don't either.
You know. Not that I'm saying that racism is okay, but there's at least something to racism where you can see it. You know, like with like the homosexuality, it's purely like what somebody's doing in the privacy of their own home.
And you know what? We don't need any more humans. So the whole thing is like sex is to procreate. No, just stop then. Then stop, because we're good.
Yeah, it's fucked up how small towns are. Truly. Yeah, who knows? And, you know, like you said, that is one of the positives of media is that, you know, people can become more aware of that. And there almost becomes a, you know, singular or non-centralized culture within the internet, you know? Well, I think we're wrapping up to the end of my questions. Did you guys have anything you wanted to talk about before we do a card reading? Like, did you have anything on your mind or anything you wanted to talk about? Or I don't know. This is your platform.
Man.
The collective.
Yeah.
Go for it.
For sure.
We were kind of filling Molly in about it there for a second, but what we want to do, and I think like you're on board with it already, just hearing with what you were talking about earlier as we set up. What we want to do is we want to find artists that are intelligent and creative, obviously, because artists. Sorry.
Yeah, it's usually a key component.
Yeah, we need creative artists, ones that create things.
We want non-creative artists.
We want people that want to change media into something different, to all gather together. Like, I've got a Facebook page that I've been like slowly working on and getting ready, so that way we can all interconnect and network together. And so like all the podcasters can take turns, you know, being on each other's shows and like promoting each other. So that way, like, good content, and I'm talking like actually good, for you type
local
thing.
Musicians and video that's produced around here. I mean,
Local and stuff like that. Feeling the little guy.
Oh yeah, that's a big point.
Yeah, and we pull musicians. You know, we work with Sorry for Last Night. Like, I've got a band. You know, we're actually most of everybody that's involved already is a musician in some way. We got painters to do murals in cities. Like, we wanted to do, you know, classes for kids to do media production, because now media is so overgrown. There's no Parks and Rec classes to like teach them how to use, you know, Photoshop or something like that. So doing stuff like that, so that way they can create beautiful images that inspire other people. So like pride stuff and
It's a good emotional release. Just the creative.
The mental health awareness of it alone. So we want to like meet more people that want to do that are our age and stuff, because like the older generation has that section. They have like the 4-H and all that got started, but kids are moving away from that now and in favor
it's
of
outdated.
phones.
We need a new
Even like, I don't know if I could find a coder to make an app so we can all be like, hey, we're like, okay, example, we want to do a web series. I've written 7 episodes out already for it. We need actors. So like to be able to post that somewhere specific and be like, we need actors for these dates, times, locations, send out a script for auditions, all that. Have a place to do that. And then a bunch of people can be like, hey, I know this guy, and tag each other or whatever.
Other people who'd have fun just,
Yeah, and then like, you know,
I think it's
we
fun.
need set dressers and things like that. And just people take turns going back and forth. Or like, hey, I'm having a party. There's going to be this guy playing. Why don't you come support him? Like, you know, just that kind of stuff is what we're aiming for. So if there's anything I want to push, it's that. It's not even just us, but like, hey, be friends with your artist friends and like just do things.
Well, that definitely lines up with what we do on the podcast. You know, that's awesome. If you guys ever need help, hit me up. And you know,
We've definitely got a hip hop crew going. So like, hip hop event maybe.
hey, I could find probably 10-15 people like right now who
See, I just need a space then,
yeah.
and then I've got promotion on lock.
Well, that's the big problem. Like, it's so hard to, it's a lot harder to convince somebody to open a venue for hip hop than like, hey, we got a rock band, we got a country band.
Well,
Oh,
rock
okay.
bands, I will say from experience, rock bands are hard to book. Because if you're not a cover band playing specifically old school rock
that's a
or
good
top
point.
40 punk, you're screwed. Because like my band does like 9 Inch Nails and stuff like that. And we have like a David Bowie cover of Fame where it's just like screaming. Nobody's going to book us. So we have to try to find more like metal people in the community that knows venues that will.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the fundamental problem with hip hop too. Is mostly it's original. I mean, people don't really do covers. That's kind of pathetic.
I know I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, like we had a band here like a couple months ago, actually, Three Finger Betty, and one of their greatest memories was they were like, it was their biggest show. They had the most people there they'd ever seen. Somebody's just in the front say, "Sweet Caroline." They're like, "Fuck you, we got original shit."
And that's why as my band, it's my dad and my family and I actually, we don't want to advertise on stage that we're a family band, because then people, it's a family band, we're a partridge family.
I get that, yeah.
But we chose the covers that we did. It's like B-side grunge, so it's like kind of ironically doing covers. So like we'll do Nirvana, but we're not doing Smells Like Teen Spirit. We're going to do Aneurysm.
Oh, I love that though. That's awesome.
So,
that's awesome.
that's more up our alley. I would like to go more into the punk type thing and do originals, because I feel like punk is necessary for this time. The revolution going on and everybody changing.
Remake of the Partridge Family, for sure.
The Punkridge family.
Well, Nirvana, like when they did covers, that was kind of the covers they did. They did those like B-side covers that nobody knew, and they like revitalized it. You know,
And I always respected that, because it just shows, an artist is so much more than just their top 40.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much more. So if you like somebody's song, if you like that song that's on the radio, go listen to the rest of the album, because that person poured that time and effort, and it's getting like 1/10 of the attention.
Yeah. Well, like with Nirvana, like Smells Like Teen Spirit. They got to the point where they hated playing that song.
Oh God, I can imagine. I don't even like hearing it
They
anymore.
would play like 6 seconds and they'd be done, and the crowd would be booing like, "Fuck you, we don't care. We're gonna do our own thing."
And they had that freedom to do that too, though. It was, fuck you, we don't care.
Yeah, and that's kind of a sad thing about us. There are very few people that like actually have the flexibility to be like, "Hey, fuck you, I'm gonna do whatever you want, and it doesn't matter because I'm still gonna fuck away at the end of the day."
Go Rage Against the Machine on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Do what you tell me.
God, those guys were the true OGs. Like, how many other bands have like walked away right at their peak because that's what they stuck to,
Yeah.
Dude, I would do that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, a lot of people in Iowa would, I think.
Yeah, if I could just make it to that 1 million streams, then I'd be done. I'd be like, okay, I did it. Now on to the next thing.
Get to a point where you're
I'm gonna go
comfortable.
raise an alpaca.
But then you're getting like sponsorship shoes and stuff sent to you all the time. And
Yeah, just begging
You
you
gonna
to
be
come
able to
back.
resist that?
I don't know, if I string along long enough, and then it'll become a nostalgia throwback, and I can perform the one-hit wonder in 15 years.
There you go.
Aha. Make double the money.
Cool. Well, hey, this has been a fun episode, but before we end it, you were gonna do a card reading for me.
Yeah, I'll
This
drop
is my request.
a reading. I'll scoot this over.
So
here.
how does this work? Explain this to me.
Well,
'Cause I've never done this before.
everybody thinks, oh, a card is going to read your future. That is not how tarot works. What it does is, my theory anyway, and everybody has different theories on this, is that what I am showing you is basically what you need to hear and already know. You just don't want to admit it to yourself. So you're basically just letting another party read it to you. So when the cards show certain things, like, I'll notice reactions of what comes out and like what you're looking at and things like that, and I'll base it kind of like what you're drawn to, because like there's symbolism for everybody. It's like, if you, example, have a subconscious desire to change your entire life, for some reason people will hover towards butterflies. So if I catch somebody staring at the butterfly on the card, usually that means they need change in their life. But it goes a little bit deeper than that too. That's just like for the skeptics. There's your excuse. What I believe, though, on the more deeper level, is that it taps into your subconscious energies. And so the card deck is like a random algorithm to help present things that you need to hear. Sometimes, yeah, I throw down cards and they just don't hit. But if I pick up and do it again, they hit right. You know what I mean? Sometimes, though, they're really scary. Landing actually can vouch real quick on my weird card reading abilities.
Yeah, super strange. I'm a very analytical or logical person, so it's like I always find this scientific reasoning or backing or just basic knowledge. So I'm educated in every field I can be, or
I feel the same way.
open-minded.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did a reading, and it was New Year's Eve, and I brought 3 different cameras, so then we had it set up pretty legit.
It looks so cool.
Yep, and freakishly enough, I still go back every new month and listen to it, and it's been spot on. I mean, one month it was almost like, nope, it's not it, and that last day.
Literally the last day.
Yeah, I don't want to bring up any of the information on it, but
Make it pretty personal.
it was something else. That's what it is. It's something
Well,
else.
I'm an open book, so you can go as far as you want. I'm not gonna.
It's just
My audience is comfortable with me at this point, so.
So yeah, and like the pictures, it baffles me too sometimes, the stuff I can pick up on. Like one time, my favorite example is that cheating client that I had. I had this chick that came to me regularly for readings, like every week sometimes. And these cards came up one day, and this is over the phone, by the way. So like she's on a video call, she's not actually there. I can't really gauge her reactions. This has nothing to do with psychology. But the cards came up that there was cheating going on. And she was trying to find out if her husband was cheating, but the card showed it was her. And so I was blunt with her, and I'm like, dude, it tells me that you're the problem here. Like, it's all you. And she got so mad that she, like, quit seeing me. Come to find out, her husband left her 2 weeks later because she'd been having an affair. And stuff like that. So it's just, it gets like that.
Interesting.
So, all right, I think we're good to go.
Well, I guess this is the day where Molly finds out I'm having a affair. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to give you a life outlook. I'm just going to drop a few cards. So,
Cool.
go past, present, future, surrounding energy. You big daydreamer?
No, yeah.
So your background energy is the Ten of Swords in reverse, which means that you are healing from, like, card definition. That's the hard thing about admitting that there is some psychology to it, is like, I do go by the card meanings too. It's not just that.
Yeah.
But it looks like you're overcoming that I'm going to take as a sign. That is so
This
funny.
subject is fucked up.
Okay, so Ten of Swords in reverse came out. And what's crazy is the cards that just fell out too, because you are overcoming a betrayal, a massive betrayal. And it came out with the Two of Cups just fell out, which is the marriage and commitment card, and the Empress.
He did it on purpose.
We all watched that. It is on video. Yes, I totally shuffled that and staged it out completely.
I was going to ask you, do you have a method for the shuffling, or is it just...
I just shuffle and cut like
Okay.
a magic deck, like a playing card deck. Like, yeah. So
She'll
that's
shuffle for a while too sometimes, yeah.
So I think somebody's showing off a little bit here. Whatever that is. So then we got the Queen of Spears in reversed with your past energy. And I will admit, I still use my book. And I say there's no shame in still using the book. Because I think, like, as you reread the definition, different statements will stand out each time. It's like the Queen of Spears in reverse. Crinkle, crinkle. Shows a person who thrives on chaos. I'm guessing you went off the wall after your divorce a little bit. Just total chaos. You probably lost a lot of friendships. You probably, I'm guessing, were involved in, like, sorry to say this, you were probably involved in, like, a third party situation, whether you were cheated on, you were cheating, or you were with someone who was cheating.
Not true.
Not true. Okay. Either way, there was a triangle situation going on at that point.
What about the married lady?
With the what?
Was that after your divorce?
Which lady?
The married lady.
Oh, fuck. You know what? Okay.
I got you.
Creepy, man. It's creepy. This shit's creepy.
Goddamn. Yeah, she was married. We just made out, though. I didn't fuck her. So.
But yeah. It just looks...
If that helps the card reading out. No.
that is a love triangle with a third party situation. Exactly. Yep. So that was your past, but as you're sitting right now, it's interesting because you have the Ten of Coins, which is a very positive thing, but it's in reverse. So I don't even need the book for that one. So it's like you have everything around you and you love it. It just feels like something's missing. There's just like one aspect that you feel like is a barrier in the way, and I'm gonna find out what it is because I'm nosy.
Cryptocurrency.
It's the cryptocurrency, damn it. Oh, we gotta flip.
I need to put my entire savings account in crypto.
Temperance,
That's
huh?
what it is.
That's interesting to me. And when I asked what the situation is, sorry, when you have so many books, you kind of lose some of the placements of these. Temperance, there it is. And it's upright too. It talks about work. It looks like you might not like your actual job or
I like
what
my
you
job.
do day to day. Something about...
Yeah, I mean, I think I probably experienced repetitiveness.
It feels like something isn't going according to plan, in other words. It's like you're following the steps, but the execution isn't as satisfying in your day-to-day. You know what I mean? That's
possible.
It's a very interesting energy to reflect on. So I would definitely give some advice on, like, a gratitude and priority list. So you can, like, figure out if you're truly happy and, like, if you're not. If the answer isn't a resounding yes immediately, how can you fix that? Because you only got one life that you're going to remember at least. Like, who knows what happens after or before. But why would you spend any time doing anything that makes you even just barely complacent? Why not do what makes you ecstatic? Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's important to hear right now. So, whatever ridiculous thing it is that you're kind of planning or want to do after that point, do it. Yeah, I actually take a well-deserved bow. So, I think that, like, you're not allowing yourself to celebrate what you have type of thing. It's like, that's what it is. So, in the future here, you need, is
Yeah, that's accurate.
yeah, it's accurate. Chuckling too. That's
Yeah. I'm really bad at that.
That's just funny.
I don't give myself any credit, actually. I'm that stereotype, like the stereotypical artist who just thinks all of his, like, he's fucking Mozart and he thinks his music sucks. You know?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfectionist.
Not that I'm saying Mozart, but
Yeah, we're our own worst critics.
yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
for sure.
Okay. So the future energy is actually really great. It shows, like, I don't know, you're going to take something to heart here and probably start celebrating your life every day a little bit more. So that's a pretty beautiful charging forward type of energy. So this is a very positive reading, to tell you the truth. It's a very growth based. Usually it's a lot of like, you're repressing this, when actually your surrounding energy is nothing but positive little daydreams. Like, you have so many great big ideas. You might just need a little bit of a boost, getting them into fruition. But hold on, I'm going to see if you got an answer coming out here.
Well, I was expecting that,
There is no outside party. Yeah, I was asking to see if there's, like, another step you need to take, and it's like, nah, there's no new job, there's no situational changes, there's just you. Just you coming into your own power, and then the celebration will happen. So yeah, that's a really positive reading. Just gonna do a little happy dance for you there. Sweet.
Well, that is the complete opposite that I expected.
I honestly did too.
I was expecting like you are fucked.
I was like,
in 2 years you're gonna be dead, so you might as well just start shooting up heroin now.
It's nice to have like self.
I've only had like a physical death appear on a reading once, and it was so confusing, and I didn't get it until afterwards because it's so rare. Like a family member was sick and dying and stuff, and like it wasn't even brought up by the client or anything. She wasn't asking about it, and I was like, there's so many repeated death type symbolisms here. Is like, just check in on your family, and then one of their aunts passed of COVID like the next week, and I was like, God damn it. Those are the ones I don't like doing. These I like doing. So, there's any closing messages? And your closing message is stop getting in your own way. So, there you are.
You know what, Bree? I'm not gonna lie. I was I'm skeptical of that kind of stuff, being an atheist agnostic person, but that's impressive.
It's good spiritually. It's
I will say this: if it's bullshit, you are very good psychologically. You're
I
very good.
promise nobody told me about the situation you were in with the third party. I promise nobody tipped me off. Like that was a total complete guess. Like that was not in the book or anything. Like obviously it doesn't say you're fucking around. You know? Like that was. I don't know what that was.
Well, at least it wasn't current, so I can still
finger guns. That's what I need to do.
While I'm in a hot affair, I can keep Molly in the shadows.
Yeah, no, you're actually very happy at home.
Yes, I am.
So
yeah, we're very happy. Mm-hmm. Cool. That was awesome. I like I said, I didn't know what to expect, but that actually was pretty cool.
Okay,
Cool.
Yeah.
Shit, this sounds like a perfect place to end. But do you guys have any closing thoughts, or what's your socials? Where can people find you? All that.
My TikTok is Don't Eat Lamp. I referenced it enough times. And then my podcast is From Hindsight to High Definition on YouTube. Just search it, or my name, or pretty much Don't Eat Lamp or anything that's linked. Yeah, that's about it for me.
Cool. Landon Detrick. Landon Detrick is Diet and Rich put together. For spelling wise, I'm on Facebook. You can check me out on there.
Yeah.
Cool. So. Can people hit you up for photo needs? And
if they have fun in acting or are musical, and
if you have any creative projects that are in the North Iowa area, feel free to hit either one of us up. I'm trying to build my solo portfolio. Landon and I work very well together. Our boudoir shoots are perfect when we work together. I usually do like the model adjustments, and he takes the photos and edits them and stuff. So
geek out on camera settings.
We have so much fun. We really do. We're great to work with. So
awesome. Well, hey, if you ever need anything from me, if you ever need any help or anything from the podcast, let me know. I really like what you guys are doing.
I'd be game to shoot down here.
I'd love to have you on my show sometime too.
Fuck yeah, that'd be awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dissect me a little bit. All right. I think it's a good place to end. Like I said, stay tuned. Next week we'll have that boy. I don't remember. 2 rappers. They're cool guys. I've known them. I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but they're cool.
That guy and the other guy with him.
I have too many in the show. I can't keep track of all of it, you know? All right, everybody. Peace. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into today's episode with Bree and Landon. Really good time. Really trippy card read at the end. I don't believe it. I don't believe in the act of witchcraft, and that those cards can necessarily be able to do that. But I will say it was a very almost psychedelic experience how accurate it was. And regardless of whether it's real or not, she does a really good job doing it. So I highly encourage anyone to hit her up and to give that a whirl. Stay tuned next week. We're going to have that. Fuck. I should really know this. Don't you think, Coleman, it makes a little sense to know who the fucking guest is before you go on the podcast and announce it? You don't even know who they are. That dude Biggs and International T. I met these guys around the same time. I met Dean, Kelly, and others. And We had we've seen each other out and about in concerts and stuff, seen them perform, and I saw them in the video. So we're gonna link and do a podcast. It's gonna be our first live episode in 3 weeks. Yeah, because we just been uploading. What the fuck you doing, dog? Oh, the animals are going crazy. It means I gotta leave. All right, peace out, everybody. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Stay tuned. We will be live next week. Don't fret for those of you who've been missing on the live streams. We'll get there soon. All right, bye. Peace.